Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us here at Cloud Wars Live, where we explore the digital revolution taking place across the world, changing how we live, how we work, how we play, dream, and think. Our guest today is Wayne Sadin, a world-renowned expert on digital strategy and digital business. Wayne is a longtime CDO, CIO, CTO, and he's currently an advisor to CEOs and boards on how to use digital technology to innovate and become the companies they need to be to succeed in this digital future. Wayne's also going to become a regular monthly guest on a new episode we'll have each month called Wayne Sadin on Digital Strategy. Wayne, thanks very much for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be back.
So as I mentioned, in this monthly series that we'll be doing with Wayne, we're going to focus on everything having to do with digital strategy, from transformation, organizational structures, the rapidly changing and shifting role that technology plays, and who among the C-suite needs to become more involved in these strategies, not just in shaping them, but also in making sure they're executed properly. We're also going to talk some about how there's not a big sharp line between digital strategy over here and overall business strategy on the other side. So Wayne, tell us a little bit about that. What's your view on the proper role these days for the CEO and the board in establishing a digital business strategy?
The good news is the role of the board and the role of the CEO in setting digital strategy is exactly the same as their role in setting every other kind of strategy. The board and the CEO are responsible for making a strategy, living up to the strategy, altering the strategy, and the fact that there's technology involved in it doesn't change their responsibility. It just changes the tool we're using to implement that part of their strategy.
Wayne, what's the best way these days, too, as you talk with CEOs and boards and advise them, what's the proper role for how the CIO should be involved in this planning? At what stage do you get the CIO involved? And are you looking these days for a different type of CIO to be able to execute this new set of challenges?
I see this time and again. We do an investment strategy, a capital allocation strategy. We have all these business processes that have been worked out over the years. And then we stick IT over in the corner and we have a separate discussion, oftentimes at a lower level. And then IT tries to figure out from what they've learned over here, what's going on over there. So let's stop thinking of it as digital first and think strategy first, enabled by technology.
Wayne, you know, it's interesting. There's so much going on in this strategic planning and so forth. And at the same time, the outside world and digital consumers in particular are changing so fast in what they want, what they expect, what they demand. So the pace of change in business is happening so rapidly. So what's your stance on once a company establishes a digital business strategy, how comfortable should they be with nudging that around and changing it as outside requirements dictate?
The first one is get the CIO or CDO or CTO, whatever you call your top technology leader, involved in the business process discussion. It's not okay to bury them deep in the organization. And I should say, I know lots of CFOs, I know lots of business heads, and I've worked for some very good ones. But working as an IT leader for a functional specialist, you will see everything through the filter of that function. If it's the CFO, it'll be profit and loss. If it's the CMO, and I've reported to one of those, everything will be about the newest campaign. Only the board, CEO, maybe president, COO, see the top picture of the business. And that's where IT has to be involved. That's one thing. The other thing about working with the CIO is that I see it all the time. Presidents, CEOs, board members are a little afraid of technology. Remember, we're talking about people that are on my age, your age, who grew up when they were functional executives and technology was in a backroom function. We were in the basement with punch cards when a lot of the executives that are leading companies grew up. And so it's not natural like the millennial and Gen Zs to just pick up your phone and do something. So a message I want to give to the CEOs and board executives and investors. No question you ask is a dumb question. I stop people and say, you're the CEO. By definition, it's a great question. Let's answer it. The second part of that is a technologist that can't answer a question in business terms should not be sitting in the room. IT folks get a pass because they're IT folks. Treat me like a C-suite executive. We don't say, well, I don't expect the CFO to understand business or the CMO to understand business. But for too long, it's been this cult that IT people grew up in the basement, were technical first. When IT didn't matter, when IT was a backroom function, what's called a system of record, a way of keeping score after the fact, you could get away with an IT person that wasn't a communicator, wasn't customer focused, wasn't a C-suite presence. That age is behind us. You should have a fixed strategy. This is not the Russian 5-year plan from the 1930s. We as business people have to become more agile. One of the things about digital transformation, Bob, is we have to be moving the company towards a quicker sense-respond loop. I see something happening in the market. How do I build a company culture that allows me to respond? Now, here's where tech can help. Let's look at a couple of examples. By using Internet of Things, IoT, or industrial internet as some call it, I can build sensors into my products. And that means the focus group I used to have twice a year, 4 times a year with 50 random people, now becomes every product sending the company telemetry, data on how the product is used. Now, how do we build an organization that can deal with that data, with the rate of change, with the amount of data, and then use it to make good decisions? So we've got that part of technology. The other one is collaboration. Products that are emerging that allow us to collaborate, to look through org charts, to find specialists within the company and build affinity groups and teams in the company. These collaboration tools allow us to build a much more fluid, dynamic, and responsive organization. And so that's where the CIO and the CEO and maybe the Chief Human Resources Officer can partner up and try to use technology to help build a more fluid, better sense-respond organization. You've got to be listening to the market. That's always been true. What I think is going on now is consumers' use of technology means they're telling you more and they're telling you faster. If you're a company that deals with consumers, B2C, and you're not monitoring all the social channels, the Twitter, the Instagram, the Facebook, and be prepared to consume that information and make decisions about it, you are behind the curve. So you've got to be up at the speed of consumer information and get that net promoter score, find out what's wrong with the product, find out how customers are using it. And so these are all things that the company has to be paying attention to. At some point, it behooves us to sit the technology people in a room and the business people in a room and say, what could we build if we could build what we wanted? My job as the technologist to say how much, how long, and how risky. And maybe you can get the product you want up here today, but maybe we can give you this knowing that we're going to do that to it. It really helps. If I know where we're going, I can help shape the direction. But you, the business people, have to be envisioning what you think we're going to need to sell to the next generation of consumers or the next fancy of consumers or the next need of consumers that may not be articulated by the market.
So Wayne, clearly lots of moving pieces, lots of things going on there and that needed to be evaluated. So how do you advise CEOs and boards on what's the best way to measure the outcome of this new digital strategy?
The biggest warning, Bob, is don't believe that digital transformation starts with digital. I've seen it happen. The CEO says, we got to do something about this digital transformation stuff. And they grab the CIO, who may see them twice a year, go to one board meeting a year and do the IT presentation, and they turn to them and say, go build me a digital strategy and get it done. So the warning is CIOs, even the best CIOs, are really great at what I'll call digital optimization. That's better, faster, cheaper. I can work with the business and build everything you do with automation, drop some money to the bottom line, help pay for initiatives. But don't abdicate the strategy setting for the company to any functional expert, even the CIO, even a great CIO. Think about transformation enabled by digital rather than go put computers in to solve our problem.
This has been a great conversation. Thanks so much for sharing your insights and We're really glad to have you on here for now, the new monthly series called Wayne Sadin on Digital Strategy.
I hope we get a lot of feedback because I'd really like to get this discussion going.
And Wayne, I certainly look forward to our next iteration a month from now on this very, very important subject, and one that really touches everything that's going on, not only in the business world, but for consumers who are trying to get these businesses to keep up to speed on the digital side. So thanks a lot for that. And thanks to all of you in the audience for tuning in here to another episode of Cloud Wars Live, where we explore the rapidly changing world and how all these digital changes are affecting every facet of our lives, from how we work, how we think, how we play, how we experience the world around us. Please share your feedback with me at bobevanspa@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and I hope we'll see you next time.